Welcome to deep dive number 77 of the Crynet GenShow. I'm your host, and this week, well, we witnessed the moment many in this space have been waiting for, the decoupling.
Yeah, an absolutely massive week.
Right. I mean, while the world's stock markets were reeling from oil prices smashing past $100 per barrel and the ongoing fallout from the strikes on Iran, Bitcoin did something totally extraordinary.
It completely defied traditional market gravity.
It didn't just hold steady. It surged back past $72,000, basically acting as a 24/7 escape hatch for global capital.
Which is exactly why we're seeing this huge macro shift right now.
Yeah, and today we're breaking down the historic harmonization MOU between the SEC and the CFTC. Plus, we'll talk about Kraken's massive partnership with Nasdaq to tokenize the stock market.
And why Morgan Stanley is racing to become the first major U.S. bank to offer native crypto staking.
Exactly. From the DOJ's new probe into Binance's Iranian flows to the growing hype around Ethereum's Glamsterdam upgrade, we're covering the stories that prove the digital economy is now the most resilient game in town.
The world is in flux, but the ledger is absolute.
I love that. Let's dive right into the top 10.
So, the macro shift we're seeing in all these reports, it's really entirely driven by timing. I mean, imagine you're holding traditional stocks during a weekend geopolitical crisis.
Oh, you're just sitting there totally helpless.
Right. You're effectively locked out of your own portfolio until Monday morning. But with digital assets, the market never closes.
Yeah, which is why traders are just flocking to crypto platforms to use things like commodity-linked perpetual futures.
Exactly.
And let's translate that for a second for everyone listening. A perpetual future is basically a way to bet on the price of an asset like energy or oil without the contract ever actually expiring.
Precisely. It allows investors to get this real-time exposure to energy prices on, say, a Saturday night, while the traditional markets are just totally frozen.
Wow. So that's why Bitcoin is cementing its status as a digital store of value.
Yeah, driven by massive ETF inflows. I mean, the risk of being frozen out of your assets for 48 hours over a weekend is just a liability major funds are simply refusing to accept anymore.
It's like comparing the traditional stock market to a local bank that operates on these strict bankers' hours, locking the doors at 4 and taking the whole weekend off.
Yeah, totally.
Meanwhile, crypto is just this global superhighway that never, ever sleeps.
Which is exactly why legacy institutions are building their own on-ramps to that superhighway right now. The filings show Kraken and Nasdaq are partnering up to launch a tokenized equity market by early 2027.
Wait, tokenized equity, so they aim to put traditional stocks on a blockchain so they can trade around the clock.
That's the plan. And Kraken is also finalizing a $500 million funding round for a Q-owned 2026 IPO.
That is huge.
Especially now that the SEC has dropped its lawsuit against them, they're looking at a valuation over $15 billion.
Man. And at the exact same time, Morgan Stanley is seeking a specific OCC charter to offer native crypto staking directly to its clients.
Which is a massive deal for institutional adoption.
Right. And for context for you listening, an OCC charter is essentially a federal license to operate as a national bank. And staking means letting clients earn interest on their crypto holdings.
Exactly.
But I have to push back a little on the narrative in these sources here. Like, is Wall Street actually adopting crypto, or is crypto just putting on a suit to become the new Wall Street?
Honestly, it's the latter.
Yeah.
By applying for these federal bank charters and really pushing for SEC compliance, the crypto industry is basically donning a suit and tie to survive.
I see.
It is integrating into the traditional financial system, not destroying it.
Well, putting on that suit means dealing with regulators, and we're seeing the SEC and CFTC sign this historic harmonization agreement.
Yeah, this MOU is basically a roadmap to finally end their jurisdictional turf war over who actually regulates digital assets.
But the scrutiny remains incredibly intense, right?
Oh, absolutely. The DOJ is investigating over $1 billion in suspected illicit Iranian flows through Binance. Because when you build a global superhighway...
bad actors are going to try to use it.
Exactly. Especially during conflicts. And that reality is causing a massive domestic reaction, especially regarding stablecoins.
Right, which brings us to the yield battle over the Clarity Act. Senator Angela Alsobrooks is trying to find a compromise for stablecoin yields without causing chaos.
Because the fear driving this is simple, right? If everyday users can suddenly earn a 5% yield on a stablecoin just through an app on their phone.
Why would they leave their money in a traditional checking account earning 0.1%?
They wouldn't. And that potential deposit flight just terrifies Washington because it could drain the traditional banking system completely.
So what's the pushback?
To counter it, FDIC Chair Travis Hill proposed the Genius Act. This would explicitly bar payment stablecoins from pass-through insurance.
So the government is essentially warning you, like, hey, if you move your money out of a traditional bank to chase crypto yield, the FDIC will not protect you if that platform collapses.
Exactly. It's a complete regulatory tug-of-war.
But while Washington argues over the rules of the road itself is being upgraded. Ethereum just saw an 11% weekly gain ahead of its upcoming Glamsterdam upgrade.
And this tech evolution is the foundation for all the institutional interests we just discussed.
So what does Glamsterdam actually do?
Well, it introduces something called account abstraction and layer 2 scaling.
Okay, in plain English, account abstraction treats a crypto wallet much more like a smart bank account, right?
Exactly. It removes the headache of managing those complex private keys and allows for simple password recovery for everyday users.
That is huge for adoption. And the layer 2 scaling is what makes the blockchain capable of handling Wall Street level transaction volumes.
Right. Without clogging the network and sending gas fees through the roof, the infrastructure is finally maturing to meet the actual demands of global finance.
Yeah. It really paints a fascinating picture of where financial plumbing is heading. And, well, that brings us to the end of Deep Dive 77.
It's been a massive week of validation, really.
Truly. I mean, when Kraken and Nasdaq team up to build the future of 24/7 equity trading, you know the old 9-to-5 financial world is on life support.
Definitely. Bitcoin hitting 72K while stocks bled red tells us everything we need to know about where institutional trust is shifting during times of conflict.
Exactly. But as we saw with the FDIC's new stance on stablecoins and the Senate's yield battle, the road to full integration still has its bumps.
Oh, yeah. The transition to a crypto-native world isn't a straight line.
No, it's not. But the momentum we're seeing from players like Morgan Stanley and Citi is now undeniable.
Absolutely.
You can find all the details on the SEC and CFTC roadmap and the Kraken IPO rumors in our show notes. If you're riding this wave with us, make sure to subscribe and share this deep dive with a friend who's still watching the traditional ticker.
Keep your eyes on the ledger.
But it leaves you with a provocative thought to chew on before we go. If global equities eventually trade 24/7 on blockchains, will the traditional concepts of a weekend or a closing bell completely disappear from our global economy?
That's something to think about.
Something to explore on your own.
Yeah.
Stay sovereign, stay focused, and I'll see you in Deep Dive 78.